Hey, 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 hey. Welcome, welcome. This is a very special teaching for you guys. And I'm happy to see you all coming in because
Hello.
Roy is here. Imagine we don't have to take 2 Zoom rooms. We are in one room together for you guys.
Yep.
Perfect, perfect.
How we do it.
And with this very important topic, power identity, we will show you the quickest way into your unshakable self to become a stronger master of your life and your business. And I think you like this the most, anti-fragility.
I like that so much. And, I would love you to explain what it means, but it's good. I think I know. Yeah.
It's a special way. So when you send out, when you deliver glass, you have this fragile sticker on it.
The red sticker.
And imagine you would be a very special crystal and you get unshakable. So it doesn't matter who will throw the cartoon, who will throw the packet, you will resist. This is anti-fragile.
I like it. So
can you hear us? Are we good to see, good to hear?
Yay. Joan, hey, nice. Didn't see you for a long time. Michael, Brandon.
Joan, nice to have you here. Yes, I can hear you. Perfect.
Good.
Good evening. You just read the comments. How are you since the free flow? Elma's asking you questions.
Me?
Yeah. Hi, Roy.
Oh, I know what you mean, it's a free flow. I was in France and we did a retreat for 1 week, and the only thing that we had decided was that the retreat will be called free flow to initiation. And we had no content, no plan, and we're 3 men, 3 teachers. One is Janos, who works with some sort of activation, sacred geometry, incredibly powerful. If you can find him, check his free activations. And his name is Janos. Can you write it in the chat?
Of course.
And the other one is Robert Bridgman, a very powerful spiritual healer. And then, of course, little me. And Robert, without the Janos, yeah. And it's just, and it's janos.com. So you can just put, with an S. S here. Now you can go. Yeah, and so we had no program. So it was quite interesting. Every morning or every night, depending, we would decide what we're going to do today. And the beauty of it was we're just tuning into the people, and everyone said it was one of the best workshops. Everybody signed up for next year because we're doing it every year now around our birthday. So Robert is 28th of September. I'm 29th of September. Janos is in October, but we forgive him. And then every year now we're going to do a retreat called The Flow. And every year it's going to be different. We're going to be floating. So I'm happy. My body is completely healed. So all good. Belgium, Sabrina Reinhardt. How nice to see you here too. So it's cool. Yeah, I know, Sabrina. Anyway, let's begin. Let's talk about the power identity. I think that's the most important thing. And I'm going to give a little kick and then you add to that. Will be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so for everyone to understand where I'm coming from martial arts, meaning that since I was 6 years, I've been trained to fight. And what do you learn when you're fighting? Number one, you always have fears, especially in competition. You're going to fight with someone in a competition. If the person is bigger, stronger, faster, So you always have fears, because always in competition, the better you are, you always will meet people who are also very good. So the whole concept of martial arts is based on one thing, is overcoming your fears, to be in your power. So if you have fears, your body and mind are no longer reacting as one. Okay, so they're dissociated. And believe it or not, most people have fears for life. Believe it or not, most people have even fear of being the greatest self, which we will discuss later, because that's the biggest thing in quantum power identity. And then we are brought up by families who create limitations in our minds. They tell us what we can and what we cannot do. They tell us when we fail. So we grow up in a structure where nobody's enforcing how good we are, but the education system is enforcing the mistakes you make. And people get fear of making mistakes, fear of failure. I too have some fear of failure. I don't want to fail. But when I don't see failure anymore as failure, I see failing, what I used to call failing, as lessons to grow stronger. So my whole life is based on martial arts. Overcome your fears, which doesn't mean having courage doesn't mean no fear. I have a lot of courage and I have a lot of fear, but the fear no longer stops me, because my courage, I can always find my courage. So a quantum power identity for me is not having fears. It is not being afraid of failure, but not to see those as ways to stop you, because the only way we can really fail is when we stop. Now, from the last workshop, we worked especially on the frequencies, very important. Frequencies is for me everything. But when we were discussing after that, and we were saying, okay, how could we make this workshop we did even better? Because that's the question asked from every workshop. Every time I do a retreat or a workshop, and people say it was fantastic, I go back and I'm happy for the result, but then I want to know, how can we make this better? I learned this from Michael Jackson, by the way. Michael Jackson always is asking himself when he's making a song or a dance, how can I make this better? That's the question, the only question he's asking over and over. He's not alive anymore, but when I understood this mechanism, how can I make this better? So we were discussing that, and what we discovered is that we really need to work on the identity, to create this identity that is fearless, or use fear as, I would say, like fuel. For me, fear is fuel. If somebody tells me I cannot do something, I say, yes, really, I want to go. So that's is, so we discuss back and forth what is needed for this quantum power identity. And so that's how we came up with this retreat. And what we discovered was that each chakra, each energy center has its own unique fear. So if we start with the number one, the root, that's the foundation, but number two is a fear. Number three is the heart. And this is what people don't know. The heart has the biggest fears of them all, not your chakra one. Your heart is so intimidated from young about not being loved, not being accepted, not being admired, not being appreciated. So your heart is the most fragile, I would say, chakra, because the heart is connected to love, and we are disconnected from love or ourselves, because we are love. And so that's what we want to focus on in the next workshop. And we'll get more into that, but today we want to give you a few tips on how you can start already stepping out of your comfort zone that is built by a wall of fears. So a comfort zone means the following. The fear is bigger than the energy we want to spend on breaking out of the comfort zone. That's all it is. So the fear creates the walls around us, metaphorically. And even though we're not happy, we kind of accept our circumstances because we don't know how to break through our fears. And we had a few students also giving feedback to you. They say, well, we did this incredible frequency training, we feel the transformation itself, but yet we didn't being able to manifest that. And we were talking about that. Why is it that they cannot manifest? And so and even when you're unlimited, even when you broke through a lot of these things, but the biggest thing is when you go to the heart, is that in the heart we always have a conflict. The conflict is between I and the rest. So if we speak about loving self, well, I love myself, but we don't know who the I and the self is. So we always have a conflict in the heart. So if you say I love myself, it is a conflict. All right? Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. Because you have an I and a self. So how does the I love the self? Does the self love the I? It's a kind of confusing. And we know that the heart is the bridge between the material world and the frequency 5D quantum world. And what one of the things that I tested by myself on one of my clients was that this client was unlimited, but there was another conflict in the heart that this client couldn't be greater than her father in this case, because the father was the one making money. And by making money easy, it created a kind of a rejection of the father, like the father was not good enough. So the choice was in the end to not be successful as she could be because of the conflict in the heart. So we will talk more about it, but in the retreat, this is going to be our focus, to make your heart. Well, you have this beautiful word anti-fragile, because your heart is the fragile part. That's where we feel the most pain. You know, there are not many people can trigger me. The one person who can trigger me for sure is my wife, Joy, because of my heart. She's the one I don't want to be immune to her. I want to be, how do you say this? I want to have the empathy. You know, see, if I have the empathy, I'm like more open. So this conflict in my mind, if I'm not reacting to her triggers anymore, it's like I'm closing myself up, which is not true. So this was one of the conflicts I've been going through, actually, where we're doing this training here. I'm going through this, I would say, process. So I can love my wife, but still not be triggered by her. So that was my weakness. And so everybody has a specific weakness, and that's what we want to work on. That's what I want to start out as an introduction.
Yeah, I have to learn Dutch. You forget your daughter?
Oh, Sandy said you forget your daughter. She is in training, and she can trigger me, but not as she's getting better at it. Thank you for saying that, Sandy.
Yes.
Like
That's a good. So you have to understand, if you explore that you have infinite possibilities in the quantum field to gain influence, power, and strength, everything will change. And you can imagine there are an infinite number of pathways. But imagine you have two you could go. So you can follow literally every path you can imagine.
Are we recording, by the way?
Yes.
Oh, good. Thanks. I just had a panic attack. So go on. Sorry for the interruption.
But imagine there will be two paths for now. And now feeling these feelings, I want you to imagine yourself at the beginning of two paths. So you know you could reach your goal, but maybe actually you're not there yet, and you know you could reach it, but you don't know the how. So imagine you have these feelings, and I want you to imagine yourself at the beginning of those two paths, a path on the left and a path on the right. And as you start to walk down the path on the left, you fast forward 1 year, 5 years, and you realize you have some regrets. You look at your life. and you are still not there you want to be, where you want to be. So you have so many regrets, so many missed opportunities. And you know that if you would have just committed 10 years before, your life would have been very different. And you come back to the beginning of this path and you notice the path on the right. You fast forward 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and you realize this is everything you've ever wanted and more you had no idea that you were capable of. So much success, happiness, and fulfillment. And you come back to the beginning of all these patterns and you realize the beginning of these patterns represents the present. So this moment right now, at any given moment, and at any present moment, you are faced with the choice to go for your dreams, to take advantage of the opportunities around you, to challenge yourself, to become what you always knew you were destined for deep down inside of you. So it was meant to be, or to stay the same. And to waste years on your life, this would be the left side, as that feeling of regret will continue to grow. So do not fear failing. Fear not living life the way you know you can. Write this down, by the way. I will repeat it again. Do not fear failing. Fear not living the life the way you know you can. So I want you to now make a choice. I want you to make a choice in deciding which path you want to go down. Take a deep breath. And I want you to take a step in the right direction. Now, just notice what that feels like. Experience that level of confidence and certainty, no matter what happens, no matter how uncomfortable, you know it will work out. And you're gonna thank yourself because you took advantage of the opportunity. You were different than everybody else. You did not let the fear stop you. And you didn't let what people tell you to stop you. And this is so powerful. You found a way, and it's not a matter of if you can do it. It's a matter of how I'm going to figure it out. And if you commit to it, you will find a solution. And now I want you to imagine in your right hand, you have a dial numbered 0 to 10. And 10 being super confident, 0 being not confident at all. So and find your number you are at right now. And now take a deep breath and bring it all the way up to 11 out of 10. And realize you project your voice louder. You sit up straighter. You have absolutely no fear of choosing the right path because you know everything you want will work out for you. So take a deep breath and bring it all the way from 11 out of 10. Bring your confidence all the way up. Now feel it in your veins, in your bones, and every muscle fiber and cell in your body. And as you feel that complete feeling of comfort, because that is all. Confidence equals comfort. So you find you completely go for what you want without hesitation. And that's the power identity. And that sounds easy because it sounds like, oh, I only have to commit. But what are the following steps? And this is a transformation. So you can commit now, but then you need guidance to exactly know how to do it.
That feels good. I really like that. I was totally entranced. And no, I still need to get out a little bit. Yeah, what came to me is when we talk about fear, and I was talking about like the prison we create by fear. And when you did this little exercise with us, what happens is that you need that power, you need that confidence, and then we can call that also the courage to break free of the prison that we are in. Each one is some people are in small prison, some people are in a big prison. But everything you want, your heart truly desires, is outside of the prison, right? That's the whole point. And what I think is important is once you have a commitment and you know what your goal is, and you have a system, because now you have to how we say that, to have some sort of a practice, something that you need to do. And I think what's very, very important is that when we get up in the morning, we need to actually remind ourselves again what we're going for. When we go to sleep in the night, we need to remind ourselves again, because between waking up and sleeping, I would say over 80, maybe more. I don't have scientific numbers, but I'm guessing that at least 80% of the people are automatic pilot, right? They get out of bed, they do what they do, they go to their work, everything is in routine. Even when they come up from it, they're in another routine, they go to sleep in a routine. And what we need to do is call it a prison break. We need to keep breaking out the prison over and over and over. And one of my mentors was teaching me how he would spend 1 hour in the morning just getting into that confidence level, into that mindset, into that feelings in his body. So he would take time, and this is important because we want to work on the conscious level, we want to work on the subconscious level, and the subconscious level is trickier to work with because the subconscious level is not a logical level, it's a feeling level, it has a lot of traumas, it lots of beliefs. So we need to reform, we need to transform it by constantly working with our subconscious mind. And we need to keep that image of who we want to be and where we want to go, what we want to create, the difference we want to make, the luxury level we want to have. We need to create, I call it a hologram, that's so powerful that the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference anymore between what you're imagining and what's real. And then we go back to the frequencies, because now you are in the frequency of the frequencies of where you want to go. And now we have the loop is closed. We have the frequencies, we have the feeling, we have the thoughts, we have the behavior, we have to take the actions, we have the way of thinking, we have the body posture is very important. When you look at people, you can see so many people, they're just slouching. They're so, or making themselves small. And to be successful, you need to make yourself, to open the chest. Why do we need to open the chest? Because the heart is here. We need to lead with our hearts. That's the whole point. The heart is where we have to lead, because that's who we really are. And then the rest will follow. So yeah, this is a great beginning of...
I like it. Yeah. So what would you say, what is the biggest mistake in personal development and how to avoid it efficiently?
My biggest mistake in personal development.
Oh, it's also interesting. But what you say in general and your biggest mistake?
Well, I used to believe that if we talk about fear, that fear of failure was a big one. But what I discovered over and over and over, that that's not the true fear. There's a reason we have the fear of failure. It's a kind of I call it a kind of a way for a bigger fear. So we're stopping in front of the first obstacle. So the fear of failure is an excuse for us not to go to our true fear. And our true fear is our greatness. We cannot believe that we are great. We cannot believe that we are powerful. We cannot believe that we can create anything in our lives we want. We cannot believe that we can be super successful. And the reason we don't believe that is because we've been conditioned to believe that. So the fear of failure is there just for us not to go to the next one, because the fear of failure is not, it's not a big thing. I mean, because we all have to go through that. Everything we do in life, we have to go through that fear. But the fear of failure is actually more the fear of not being loved. If we fail, other people not accept us. So when we go to the greatest fear of all, is our greatness, we believe then that most people cannot follow us, that we will be alone. And that's why they say it's so lonely at the top. And the reason it's lonely at the top is because most people just stop at the first fear. They don't go through that. So, and they're working on that one. And that's why in the retreat, the fear of your greatness is the biggest one that we need to overcome. Because if you can imagine that anyone you admire, you can only admire a person because what you see in that person you have inside of you. The big question is, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to make the commitment? Do you have the tools to bring out that greatness inside of you? Or are you going to look at someone else and say, oh no, yes, for her it's easy, Stephanie, you do it easy because you are so special. You are so different. You have no traumas. Your family was perfect. Ours was not. So when we see that, we make up the excuse that we cannot be as great as what we see in another. And that's what I think some of the how we call this, the traps when we start in personal development. We're focusing on the wrong fears. You go for the biggest fear, deal with it, then fear of failure is gone. Why would you mess with the little guy if you have to fight the big guy? So take the big guy out and the little guys run away.
Yeah, today I was asked, you must be very confident if you charge that amount of money for your clients, for your services. And I thought, that's an interesting one. And I said, yeah, you have to know, I went through a lot of shit in my life. You have to know, I was abused when I was a kid. I got a lot of trouble. You can't imagine. I was a drug addict.
Like drugs?
I took drugs for 5 years.
Wow.
I consumed 1 to 2 grams cannabis every day from the morning till the night.
That's an expensive hobby.
It was I have to deal. I have to sell drugs to make it affordable. So, and you don't know this part.
No, I don't know that part.
So, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and it was so funny. Yeah, because of this. So, I got more power because I went through all of this, and I didn't let it stop me. So I had a very important mantra in my life, and it was, the fear of the little man is my fortress. And that made me stronger every day. So today I don't need this mantra anymore because it's integrated in every cell in my body. So when some challenge comes, it's nearly the same, like Roy said. It's like, yeah, come on, I will get stronger with it. And that's an attitude, and you have to train it, and you need the tools to cope with it, because it's not only an attitude, you need the tools. And that's what the next retreat is about, to get in the right frequency. And when you are in the right frequency, but you can't see the results, the next step will be to bring all the knowledge in the 3D world and have the tools that will scale you up, but not only from your energy, that makes your identity more powerful. And yeah, go forward.
Yeah, I think if we look at that, is that when we see someone who is successful, we make assumptions. So we call this hallucinations. We start to believe that we know, this person is different or they're special or any of that. Someone said, overnight success is 10,000 hours of preparation. And that's where the biggest problem is, that most people want success right away. But there's a part that where you need to, and I love the word antifragility so much, because what does it mean? Most people behave like they're the most fragile beings on this planet. They're worried what people will think about them. They're worried that, you know, they may not come over in the right way. They're worried about this, they're worried about that. And so being anti-fragile means, for me as a doctor, it's the same like the immune system. You know, so if I can overcome anything that triggers me, and this is one of the tips that I want to give to you, because it's easy. Normally I don't tell people it's easy, because people then won't come to my workshops anymore when I talk about triggers, but it's really, really easy. And so here's the most important tip that I can give you right now, and we'll go into some more stuff later. The most important tip is that, and if you're writing down, then you have to write down, every trigger is a blessing. This is the most important. Every trigger is a blessing. I'm happy when I'm triggered. So if someone can trigger me, what does a trigger really means? A trigger means, and we're going to get into the intensity of a trigger in a second. A trigger means that something in you is wounded or conflicted or suppressed, to give you a few examples. So someone says something, and the way they said it, it was not for you pleasant. The message was okay, but there was a tone, and many people are sensitive to tones. So it's not the words, but how it's presented. And that takes away your power, because when you're triggered, and this is what you need to know, you shoot immediately in your subconscious mind to a specific point in time when the trigger was created. And then you have what we call the reinforcement of triggers over time. So the first trauma normally happens at a very young age, and then it's reinforced by more and more little traumas, little conflicts, and all of a sudden you have a part of you that lives backwards in time. So the moment you're triggered, you're always in the past. So it is not about what's happening in the now, you are in the past. And that's exactly what needs healing. So if you, and the tool is very quickly, you get different tools, but the most easy tool is just to imagine yourself as a child being triggered like you're being triggered now, and analyze the trigger. Was it the tone? Was it maybe the person was too loud? Were they too close? Were they too demanding? Were they too much in authority? Were they too much dominant? Were they a victim? Whatever you've been triggered to. So just notice what is triggering you, and note that as a child you were triggered in a similar manner. And the only thing you need to do is imagine being a child again, being triggered in this way again. And then you help the child to heal by telling the child, why is this trigger not so important? Because it's always about love. All triggers we go back to is the feeling, the meaning we give to being triggered is I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough, or I'm not lovable enough. It's always about love. There's nothing else that will shake us. We only have fear and love. Everything else is a different color of fear, a different color of love. That's all there is. There's nothing else. The two main frequencies that we're dealing with. And if we do this every day, we look at the triggers, we go back to our child self, and we heal the child self. We talk to the child self. You will change the traumas in your subconscious mind. And I'm not saying this will help for everything, but I can tell you it will help for 80% of the things, because 80% of the triggers are not big triggers. And what we're going to do in the workshop is that we have not learned how to be powerful. Our body doesn't know how to stand in a powerful way and be congruent. Some people can pretend to be powerful, but when you test them, they're not congruent with power. They're pretending to be powerful. They're faking to be powerful. You see this especially with teenagers too. That's why they smoke. That's why they have certain mannerism. That's why they talk in a certain way. It is not authentic, because they don't know how to be powerful. This is called fake power. And you and I have worked with very powerful people who were inside very miserable, true or false. But the world sees the fake power as true power. And that's why we have this totally lopsided planet where we're looking at role models that shouldn't be role models for us at all. So this is what we want to teach you, to understand again how to be in your power. What does it mean? How do you breathe? What kind of internal dialogue do you have when you're powerful? How do you look at people when you're powerful? Because a lot of powerful people, what they call the false power, they look down to people. They feel like they're more, because that's the concept in their mind. I got more money, I got more influence, so I am worth more than you. And this is false. Nobody is worthy more than someone else. But some people keep themselves smaller than other people. So what I want to give you is that we need to learn again how to be powerful. It's like when I went to martial arts, I learned karate. They told me how to stand, how to walk, how to punch, how to breathe. I had to learn everything again, just to be able to be strong and powerful and to overcome the fears. But at least you get something to start working with, and at least you get a taste. And for some of you who've been in art retreats, this might be the next step for you, because I've been to so many workshops in my life, very good workshops, but every time you adjust something more, you go more. And it is just until you are in your power identity, then a lot of things will be different.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about quantum entanglement and the effects, because you have to understand what it is and how to use it in your daily life and business. So quantum entanglement is one of the uber bizarre phenomena seen when things get itty-bitty or inside the quantum realm. So when two or more particles link up in a certain way, no matter how far apart they are in space, their states remain linked. So that means they share a common unified quantum state. So observations of one of the particles can automatically provide information about the other entangled particles, regardless of the distance between them. And any action to one of these particles will invariably impact the others in the entanglement system, in the entangled system. So it means if you would change one part of a system, automatically would other things change too. And the biggest thing is, if you understand how to use when you can influence this entanglement with your future self, and not only a future self, because we have infinite future self, because with the future selves that you want to become. And that's the greatest power you can have. And this is what we will teach you.
Yeah. And actually, when I was just explaining, and now we're looking from the quantum field, we are quantum entangled with our past. So with our wounded self, we are entangled there. We need to break that entanglement and create a new connection to who we want to be. So right now we're stuck in the past. And then there was a question also interesting. False power, isn't that what we say, fake it until you make it? Exactly. When you say fake it until you make it, you learn how to fake it. And I've seen many NLP trainers that became my client. Many of them are my client. The best ones in Europe, some of them were my clients. The best one in Italy, the best one in Holland, the best one in Germany, all were my clients. And everybody believed I was doing NLP. No, I'm a martial artist. So I look like I do NLP, but it's not NLP. But everything is NLP, because NLP is the study of communication and the study of successful people. But the biggest mistake in NLP is fake it until you make it. If you take Tony Robbins, one of the most powerful motivation speakers in the world, he faked it for a long time. And yes, he made the money, but it was a high price for his body. And I'm a doctor. I can tell you, he paid a very high price for not being 100% authentic, for being incongruent. And I'm not ditching on Tony Robbins. I love Tony Robbins for what he taught me. I love Tony Robbins that he changed my life. But I'm also a doctor, and I'm also a holistic doctor. So I look at people with different eyes. I look at energy. I look at the way they move. And Tony, I saw already in 1988, when I first met Tony, I made prediction about Tony, about his life, because of his incongruency. And I said to people, fake it until you make it is never going to work. What we say, be it and you will make it. Big difference. Be it and you will make it. It has to be authentic. That's why we don't work with role models that are different than ours. Our role models are ourselves in the future. True? We are looking at ourselves. We're looking at our full potential self. We're looking at our most loving self. We're looking at our most greatest self. We're looking at our most powerful self. That is what we call quantum power identity. And we don't fake it. We become it. We integrate it. We live it. We experience it. We feel it. We dream about it. We wake up with it. We go to sleep with it until the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between who we are and who we have become. It becomes one. That merging becomes one. And then you will not get sick because you're creating a future based on your terms. How can I be afraid of a future that I'm creating? I'm the one creating it. It's not happening at random. I am forming my future. I know what my future is going to be, and you will know the same. So fake it until you make it is not.
It's a good one. Yeah, I call this future self the ideal energetic signature, because this is the one that you was meant to be. And it's a big difference between fake it until you make it or physicalization. So physicalization is something when you not only visualize, but when you live it. It would mean, for example, if you want to have a Rolls Royce, but you're driving a Skoda, just step into the Skoda and imagine you would touch the wheel and you would feel the leather seats and you would smell the leather. But it's your Skoda. But for you, it's your Rolls Royce. And when you're doing this on a regular basis, the universe has to arrange everything to get you this Rolls Royce, and this will happen.
It has to match your frequencies. That's
it has to match your frequencies.
It happened to me.
And to come there, to get there, it's very important that you understand this difference. So physicalization is a check. Make it till you fake it. No, fake it till that was a nice one. Oh,
Make
Freud,
it till you fake it. I like it.
Freud would be happy about this one. Okay,
No
so
faking.
yeah, let's and actually that was one of the biggest differences, because we said we also want to talk about quantum hypnosis. That's one of the biggest differences. So we don't work with something, we work with the quantum self. You call this, I call it the energetic signature.
Yeah, you want to be special. It has to be frequency.
Special.
You made it. You're not faking it anymore.
Okay.
For me, it's a must-have.
Tapita, thank you for that explanation. Thank you for these amazing questions.
Absolutely. And because you mentioned this example of the Skoda, I need to tell a little story. It's just 3 minutes. So when I learned the first time about visualize your desires, and me being this big skeptic that I am, I decided, okay, I'm going to visualize something that I don't want. Okay, just want to understand, because, you know, if you visualize, you know, I wanted a Porsche, but eventually I would find the money to buy it. I said, no, that's not my thing. So I'm going to visualize something I didn't want. So I took a picture of a Mercedes, a big one, and I don't like big cars. So I took a picture of that, and I drove in that car every day, just maybe 5 minutes every day, smelled the leather, sit in it, and so on and so on. And then after 3 months, I stopped because it was a 90-day process, and there was no Mercedes, and I let it go. And I didn't believe in visualizations in that way. I believe in visualizations for becoming healthy, but I didn't believe that you can manifest with visualization. And then it was 6 months later, I went with my family to Switzerland because I was invited to build a clinic there. And then when I arrived, the owner of this company, his name was Gerard Knobel, and he said at some point, you need a car. And one of my directors just, he left, and we still have a lease on this car. Now, guess what? It was the Mercedes, the one I didn't want. So I was forced to drive this Mercedes for 6 months. So now the question is, how is it possible that it was exactly the same color, an ugly color, it was a beige and then brown leather? I mean, who drives a beige car and brown leather? But anyway, that's the car I had to drive for 6 months. So here is the true morale of the story. The true morale of the story is that people are creating things that they don't want because they're focusing on what they don't want. So I've proven the theory. If you keep focusing on something you don't want, you will attract it and create it. So every time you see something you don't want, and I'm going to give you an example that is very important. You look at a TV program, they talk about breast cancer, and you say, yeah, they don't want breast cancer. You now have created an entanglement with breast cancer. So immediately you need to tell yourself what you do want. And then you project yourself maybe in the future, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, where you're completely healthy and vital with no surgery, your breasts are beautiful, intact, everything. But that's the way. So we see something we don't want, immediately focus on something you do want. When I see someone on the street, old and stiff and this, it reminds me, this is what I don't want. Immediately, I create a picture how I want to be when I'm 100, when I want to be 110. So this is not a tip for you guys to always use when you're triggered on something you don't want to immediately create the image and the feelings of what you do want.
Perfect. Yeah, maybe we can talk a little bit about the things that we will do, because quantum hypnosis is one part of the retreat and power identity as well. And we will have the retreat live. So for those who are new and don't know, we did a similar retreat some weeks ago in Portugal. But don't worry if you think, oh no, I don't want to travel. We also stream the retreat online, so you can attend from everywhere in the world, and you can get a whole certification, because it's also a certification program. I just saw a question in the chat for someone who asked for a certification. So, and we could also share the whole thing so that they can see how does it look like to work with us. Okay, so it's here. Yeah. Let's go. Guys, awaken your quantum power identity. So that's what the retreat is about. And you can see online, a lot of the live spots are gone already, even though this is the first official teaching that we are doing. And yeah, it's a whole certification program. So after 5 days, you will be a quantum power identity master coach. So for those who are looking for certification, this is a whole certification program, and it's a retreat. So we are focusing on not only giving you the knowledge, but experiencing it. And that's the most important part of it. So Nicole says, so excited to come back. Yeah, so excited to have you back again. Oh, and Rahel says, it was wonderful. I very much enjoyed to be part of it online. I felt connected. Wow, thank you so much, guys. And we will cover the whole fear thing, because this is the biggest enemy that we have. And it's something that is holding most of the people back. And
Absolutely.
when you ask me what is important to create a global change, to create a mass awakening, is to handle the fear, because this was, the biggest reason why we got into all of it, especially 2 years ago, but even before that. So it's a thing that is going on for centuries, and it's in our DNA. Therefore, we have to resolve it on a DNA level as well.
Yeah, and we should not forget we are coming out of the 2000 years of living in fear in many, many different levels. So it's in our DNA, but it's also in the collective mind. It is in our habits, even in our way of speaking. For example, in Dutch, they will tell you, you should never become visible. And they have a very saying in it, because then they will chop your head off, you know, things like that. So it's also embedded in the language. And we say a lot of things that are confirming our fears, you know. So, you know, stay in Dutch, they also say, you know, you better do normal because that's already crazy enough, things like that. So the language has been patterned in a way to create fear. We go to school where we create fear of failure in school. And then we go to job where we have hierarchy, where we have these, I call them managers, old style managers that create fear and so on. And so now we live in a time of COVID with vaccinations, create fear. So it is what we live in. And you are going to be affected even if you're strong, and you need to disconnect from the collective fear. That is so important, that we are in a collective fear. And when we look at the chakras, we recognize these fears, and I'm sure everybody will recognize these fears of the seven core fears, as we call it. And those things we need to overcome. So we get the material part, the first three levels, or fearless. The heart is the biggest one to be fearless, to really open your heart to love unconditionally, to love without holding back, even the people who are not nice. That's a big one. And then we have the spiritual fears that we all have as well. So it's fascinating.
So Severine is asking something. I feel triggered when someone confronts me with the fact that I do have no doctor or master degree. My clients achieve results and are happy with their cooperation with me, but this trigger point stops me making the next breakthrough. Yeah, the possible solution, Severine, is showing up at the retreat. You're dancing around for the last 2 retreats, and you will have something in your hand. And I know it's not about the certification. What's your next step is to step deeper in the whole quantum thing, because this is advanced. So even if you are a normal coach, a normal therapist, but even if you are an energy worker, even if you are trained in quantum physics and quantum healing, this is advanced stuff, because we are always putting our best things inside, and we are learning constantly new things.
Yeah, absolutely. But what's so funny is that I like that your trigger point is not having a piece of paper. While you're an expert, maybe in many things. I'm going to tell you the opposite of what I've seen. I have seen many therapists who have over 50 different diplomas and certifications, still insecure. Okay, so it's not having the degree is the problem. It's having an excuse of not having a degree is the problem. You see what I'm saying? So it's part of the core fears of not being good enough. And the best degree you can have is to free your heart. And when you're fearless, that's a degree of life. That's the master degree you want to have, is a heart that's open. And I can tell you, I can predict you with absolute certainty that your heart is walled off, that it's closed, that your heart is in a prison. So that's the one thing that we're going to work on very hard with the D
That's
on the
the
heart.
quantum
Yeah,
identity.
it's
Yeah, yeah, and then I can tell the same thing. So I have clients that have experience with 38 years. They could cover their whole living room with their certifications, but they are not fearless, and that's the thing. So, okay, Sandy is asking something.
Yeah, what's the difference between burning karma and going to your new path, the best version of yourself, and the quantum identity? Okay, let's make it very simple. Burning karma is another word, and I'm going to give it in scientific terms, is removing the low vibrations in your system that is holding you in prison in the past. And the past is not only this life, it is what we call transdimensional, because everything you experience in this life is transdimensional. It's not only about this life. The life that you live right now has been chosen in this specific time. What happened on this planet, we have chosen this time only for one reason. And we can argue all day, but my thing is very, very sure and strong. You are here on this planet for the only reason that it is now the time to awaken. It's the first time that a big part of the whole planet needs to awaken. And that's why the darkness, whatever you want to call it, the dark energies are coming up so strong. That's why we have COVID. That's why we have the vaccination, because this is a way to keep us into the darkness. So burning karma is become lighter. Moving to your quantum identity is becoming lighter. So burning karma is a tool, and we give it a name, but there are many ways to burn karma. Anytime you solve a conflict, you open your heart more, you burn karma. The way we have been teaching burning karma is a more fast way, but it's a tool to become lighter, to raise your frequencies, and to wake up, to become more conscious who you are, and who you are is your quantum identity. Okay.
Okay, another question. 90 to 95% of the brain is subconscious. How do you measure the degree of alignment with the conscious, the present, and the reality which has been planned to be created?
What are the tangible outcomes of this retreat program? Which frame of time are seen? Embody experience. Wow. Socrates, what a name. And he said he, him. Okay, Pavili sounds a little Greek. Okay, let's go first to the 90 to 95% of the brain is subconscious. Yeah, that we can discuss that. Is it 90, 95%, it's 80, the numbers are all over the place. How do you measure the degree of the alignment with the conscious presence and the reality? Very simple. We have a light detector. We use, one of the tools we use is kinesiology. One of the other tools is tuning in. One of the tools is just asking specific questions. The other tool is feeling it, because we'll do exercise with you and you're going to feel, I would say, totally disconnected. So that's one thing. And so the biggest proof, the most tangible, let's say, evidence of something changed is going to be in how you feel, your behavior, and how you walk. That's the whole change. It's a transformation where you leave a certain, we call it your old personality, that's going to shift to this new quantum self. Can you measure that? Yes, we're going to measure it. We're going to, just like in the last workshop, we don't stop until it's 100%, measurable 100%. We bring everybody to the 100%. That takes work. But the work, we do it in two ways. One, we do it in the workshop. But what people don't know, and I think I can say the big secret is, we do work in the background as well. So once you come into the workshop, even you are in our bubble. You know, she's a witch, I'm a magician. So together we create a bubble of intention, a bubble of healing, a bubble of transformation with frequencies. So it's not just what we do visibly, it is a big part what we do you don't see, how we prepare things, how we set our intention, the subtle things we do to raise the frequencies in the room, and all those kind of things, the guided meditations we do, and we measure it. We measure it, we test it. People who are live, we can show it to them, and we can even test the people online. So that's the one part that I wanted to
Yeah, the
answer.
best thing is, and you have to understand this, and maybe that answers already the next question, is we not only doing it with you, we also show you how to do it with others.
Of course, that's the
So
best
we
part.
explain the theory, we give you the tool, and we add additional information. So what is important, if you want to adapt, what will happen if somebody reacted strange, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Cool thing.
So after the course, you will be able to do this with your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the goal. And the other reason for that is that the more you do it, not only will create a ripple effect, because we want it to spread out, because teaching to a small group, that's not, let's say, that's not going to create a big impact unless the people we teach to take these tools and this power and help others with that. And that way we create a bigger impact. And everything we give you is yours. It's we get it from the source, we pass it on. We don't consider it to be ours. What we do consider to be ours is the experience and the way we do it. That's our style, but anybody can do it in their own style, their own way they want to do it. And in teaching, we always learn. I mean, it's always a two-way street. The conflicts that present themselves, the questions that are asked, people say things. We're always in this mode of learning and growing and to the next level.
And
I think it's
that's the power
never ending.
of the big group. And then we will have more online. And this is very, very important, because you see at the same time how you can run a retreat these days. So in a very, very nice way. And you have to keep in mind, there are some things you have to know when you would have the same effects online, like in the room. And we are also teaching this part. So what you have to know about leading those kind of groups and doing the energy work online.
And in the last retreat, I was very happy to see that some of the participants already start teaching others the karma burning. That was fun.
Immediately.
Yeah, I mean, the next day.
Nicole was it, right?
Yeah, I was so happy to see that. And that really warms my heart to know that the techniques are being used and being passed on. And that way we can have big
And it
effect.
shows you will be ready. So attending this, and you
Boom.
will be
Next
immediately
day.
ready
Next
to
day.
give it to others.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
So nice. Yeah, we are proud. We are proud. So, and we could tell you so many stories what happened. One guy got a lot of money immediately after deep meditation. About money issues and all of this crazy things. So imagine if you make this commitment today, everything will change. So this will create a ripple effect in your life. This will create quantum entanglement in your life, because your future self, your better me, will be more aligned with your actual self. And this is the way you want to go when you want to get more power, more money, and create a change in the world.
Yeah, I want to say one thing, because I know some of you have concerns about money. And yes, everything costs money, and this costs money. And here's one of the most important things I've learned in life. You know, I've never been a big investor in stock market or stuff like that. I never cared that much about, investing or doing smart things with my money. I'm not saying that's smart. I'm just saying I never did. But what I did do, I invested in myself. I think I've spent, the value of a huge villa on the beach somewhere on a private island. That's how much value I've given to myself. And that was not because I was saying, I love myself, I'm going to give this all to myself. It was because I was believing I was not good enough. I was believing I need to know more. I need to practice more and learn more. But then what I saw was so many things splintered over the place. I think what I'm going to give in this workshop, if I would look back at how many works I followed to be able to give this, maybe there are like 16 different workshops that gave me the knowledge to be able to just teach what I'm teaching today. So I can say honestly that even if this was the most successful workshop on the planet, it will never pay back for all the investments, and I'm sure for you too, for all the investments we've
100%.
done in ourselves. And I can tell you, I have no regrets about none of that. I mean, the most expensive workshop I ever went to cost $25,000 for 4 days. The most expensive coaching I got was $100,000 for one session a month. I've spent the money and I have no regrets of spending the money, because who I am today is because I invested in myself. If tomorrow the world would come to stop, I'm still going to be happy because I have the tools in myself to overcome any challenge on this planet. And we want the same for you, that you have the tools. You don't need the money, you need the tools. One of the greatest things that Tony Robbins has done, he took us from one island, dropped us on another island, and we needed to use our skills to get money to come back to the other island. That's a kind of examination that a lot of people nowadays wouldn't even want to do. So the tools that you invest, the money you invest in yourself, is the best investment ever. And this is not only about teaching others, this is also about longevity, about living without stress. You see, we can live to 120 years if we know how to manage stress and how to enjoy life. That's why we're on this planet, to enjoy life, find ways to enjoy life. And this 5 days will be probably one of the best investments you ever put in yourself. I'm sure about it. It will not be up to me. I will give everything. You the same.
Yeah.
We give everything we
I
have.
have to say, I would love to have those kind of workshops that we are teaching now 20 years ago. Really,
Absolutely.
really.
Me
So
too.
we created this because there's nothing that is
like
comparable on the market.
Absolutely true.
Okay.
Okay.
So I put the link for the retreat in the chat. So just grab it and read through it. It's a very, very detailed information about what we are doing, what you're getting, and what you can experience. And it's not a pitch at all. So we are just talking about it.
We have to do it anyway.
We will do it anyway. But if you feel the calling, save your spot. Save your spot, especially when you are when you love the idea to work in person with us.
Okay. Well, we hope to see you in the course, and if there's still questions, you find a way to send it, and we'll be happy to answer. And we thank you, of course, for being here with us, and we hope we give you a few tips that you can start and already get in the mind of your quantum power identity. It's worth it, I tell you that.
So let us know, what was the biggest takeaway today?
Yes, what was your big aha?
Before we close. Yeah, Rahel, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Happy to have you. Yeah, so nice. And I mean, it is
no more fake, I make it real. Thank you, Davida. Robert, thank you
Love
too.
you.
That's a big one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, be until you make. That's nice, Nicole.
Really
good. Ukraine, that was okay. Well, nice. Some really nice ads. I
you
like
do not
that.
have to fear the future, you are creating it.
That was
Yeah,
such a,
that's the thing.
yeah.
That's the thing. You are in charge. You have the power. It's all about your power identity. That's what the retreat is about. So 5 days, and we will create a change.
That time I told him he was dancing around. It's true. My trainer anesthesia said, I see my 2 guardian angels. Father
Oh,
Felix, we're gonna
nice,
see
nice,
you.
nice. Looking forward to have
Yeah.
you with
I
your
hope you can
beautiful mom.
feel our enthusiasm and passion. We love this shit, right?
What is that?
My two guardian angels.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Nice to see my two guardian. Okay, thank you guys. It's been an honor and pleasure.
Thank you. Love to have you. And we wish you a high frequency evening or day if you look at the replay. And yeah, goodbye. See you.
And then
Be
just a
well.
last tip, it might be good to do the exercise you did. You may want to do it again because now you know you can go the second time you go deeper. It was a really powerful one. I went deep right away, but we'll be training in hypnosis all day. So I'm, oh my God. So just watch the repeat and listen again to what she was doing. Okay, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.